a pleasure to be here. It's actually the city of my birth. I was born somewhere in Hawaii, but I haven't been here in many years. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys. By virtue of my profession, I I am paid to develop and design transformative and innovative approaches to solving some of the biggest public health challenges. I've had to work on projects that cut across from HIV to tuberculosis to maternal syphilis to cancer, and it's gratifying seeing that what you get paid for every month has real life impact in the lives of people. But then, every single day, I also get accosted with challenges that I might never get paid to solve. And I always say to myself, who then is going to solve these problems? I really like for us to ponder over some basic knowledge as we go on this journey this morning. The society we know is made up of people, the environment, and I also add challenges. There really is no society that is without challenges. And I dare say that specific and peculiar challenges of every society is part of what defines that society. Does this look like a familiar society? Waking up to very depressing headlines. Nigerian poverty indices worsen. Poor and dilapidated health infrastructure. Lack of security. And I can go on and on and on. And these are the things that we have to wake up to every single day. And in trying to analyze some of these challenges that we are faced with in Nigeria, I got to ask myself, what really are the world's biggest challenges? Now in 2017, the World Economic Forum, under the auspices of the Global Shapers community, which I am fortunate to belong to, decided to millennials like myself. And this survey was responded to by young people from 140 countries. And these 10 challenges stood out as the world's biggest challenges. From issues with climate change to unemployment to insecurity to inequalities to food and water security and even to wars. But come to think of it, if we decide to remove the focus from the world, even in this picture, and put Nigeria, does anything change? All of these challenges are inherent in Nigeria. Again, I say, who is going to solve this problem? Now, I'm not much of a movie enthusiast, but I hear that some of the strongest people who we believe can save the world and probably solve our problems are these guys. Maybe we need the Hulk, or we need the Iron Man, or Troy, or Captain America, and that's as far as I know the characters. But maybe we probably didn't need you and me. We just might be the ones to solve our problems. People get involved when they see a sense of belonging and a need to be actively involved in making decisions or taking little actions that have a multiplier effect, not just in communities around themselves, but even on people that they might never get to ever see again in their lifetime. Now, this bettered the concept of modern day volunteerism. James Bryce is an English politician and diplomat who was famed as being one of the most successful British diplomats or ambassadors to America. And he was the British ambassador to America at a time where the British were at the forefront of civilization in the world. And there was an emergence of a civil rights movement and a transformative movement in America. There were things that were striking for James Bryce in the American society. He found out that the young people in America had grown a passion to organize themselves in groups and societies voluntarily. And he saw that at the time they were the most organized country than any other one. Little wonder, this same America remains, you want to argue, the world power today. Volunteering really is seen a reason to be involved in solving a social problem that affects everyone without necessarily being incentivized for it. The challenge for everyone in this room this morning, or rather today, really is understanding who you are. and what you are passionate about. Not just understanding what you are passionate about, but why you are passionate about these things. Really, you must ask yourself these salient questions this morning. Is it about altruism? Is it about a sense of reward or the eulogies you're going to gain from this thing? But whatever it is, really, ensure that you find out for yourself who you are and what you are passionate about. And then it doesn't just stop there. Once you come to the realization of this, it is important to understand that social change is really not going to happen in our individual capacities. Because come to think of it, how many people can I really help as myself? Just one person. How many people can you really help as an individual? But we understand that social change comes around people who are passionate about a cause, organizing themselves in groups and coming together to form a formidable team. Then we will see the real impact that we are looking for. Last year in 2018, the UN Volunteers Program released an annual report, and it was stated that there were at least 109 million volunteers in the world. And I think this is really impressive. And I also add that 57% of these were women. So we have women having the urgency to volunteer more to causes that concern them a little more than men. But however, as a development professional, I am really interested in numbers. And like they say, today data is the evidence or base for decision making. If you disaggregate this number, 109 million, to global regions of the world or continents, if you like, you would see a very striking information that some of the most developed continents in the world actually contribute the largest number of volunteers. And you would want to think that the regions that have most of these problems, which might actually need more volunteers, have the least number of people volunteering. Again, I would like us to ponder over these numbers. The joint population of Europe and Central Asia is about 813 million. The population of Africa alone is about 1.2 billion. How come then we have 29.1 million people volunteering in Europe and Central Asia, and we have 12.1 million people volunteering in Africa? I also think that it's time for us to move our mindset in the concept of leadership. If you ask me at any time of the day, what is leadership? My answer remains the same. Leadership is seeing a problem and fixing it. And I think that it's time for us to move from seeing leadership as occupying a position or the leader and led concept to understanding that every individual is a leader. As every individual sees the need to solve that problem that you wake up to every morning. And I also dare say that there is no problem in any society that the people in that society cannot solve. There is no problem in Enugu that the people in Enugu cannot solve. We just have not seen ourselves as the problem solvers. But I really do think it's possible. It's not just all talks this morning. In 2016, December, I got a call from a very good friend who runs a non-profit organization, which in spite of my very busy schedule, I try to volunteer with as much as possible. And she calls me whenever there's a need for a healthcare intervention. She calls me and asks, can you please help design a project that is probably going to reach a rural community in Abuja, where I reside, or maybe in neighboring cities. But this call in December 2016 was different. She calls me and says, have you heard about what's happening in Northeast? Of course, it's not news. Every one of us knows what's happening in the Northeast. We know about the activities of the daredevil group Boko Haram, ravaging communities and killing people at will. But this time around, it wasn't just about the bullets of Boko Haram. She said, have you heard about malnutrition in the Northeast? And this was really worrying. People who get to survive the bullets of Boko Haram now get to be killed by hunger. And she says there are children who are suffering in abject malnutrition. I want us to go to Bordeaux. I want us to save at least 1,000 lives. And I thought to myself, will you go to Bordeaux? Mind you, barely 48 hours before this call, there was yet another news of suicide bombing in Maiduguri. But I saw this as an opportunity for me to act on my commitment to helping to improve the state of my world. I saw this as an opportunity for me to take an active step in helping salvage the condition of my compatriots. And I said, yes, I'm going to Borno. I told very few people about this trip. And even the few I told thought I was out of my mind. How would you say you are going to Borno? But well, I got a team together. We designed an intervention project that would cater not just to the medical needs, but also to the nutritional needs of these children. And we flew down to Maiduguri. What I saw in Borno literally changed my life. I saw kids who were at the verge of death. We went to an IDP camp that had over 40,000 people, an internally displaced persons camp that had over 40,000 people living in this place. And from my interaction with some of these women and children, they will say, yes, we have different organizations coming here with some relief items. But they go off to sell the blankets and the dresses that they are giving because they need to survive, they need food. And we saw kids who will die the very next day if nothing is done. Some of the pictures from Borno were very gory, and I will spare all of that. But it wasn't all bad news. There was some very good news. I remember the story of Palmata, an 18-month-old baby who was severely malnourished. And really, there was no medication or food supplements we came from Abuja with that would be enough to save Palmata's life. We had to evacuate this child from the internally displaced persons camp. And we worked with consultants at the teaching hospital in Maiduguri to ensure that she got the best possible health care. And in just 3 weeks, because young people like myself and yourself decided to take a decision, leave their comfort zone, pack their backpack, and travel down hundreds of miles to Maiduguri, Palmata's life was changed. And her mother would never speak English probably, but I could see the gratitude in not just her, but in every other person who heard or saw the story of Palmata. In February 2017, myself and my group of friends in the Abuja Global Shapers, for a couple of years we had commenced what is called the Emerging Leaders Program, where we empower young people in communities to take active decisions in solving a specific social problem in their community. But however, this time around, we decided to make a strategic intervention in the healthcare sector. And we got the story of a healthcare center in Ogbomosho, a village called Agric Farm Settlement. This was the only symbol of healthcare in this village that was meant to service at least 3,000 people. And guess what? It had been moribund for many years. For many years, this facility had not been functional. But we decided we were going to do something about it. Because for every single person to access healthcare, they would have to travel miles to neighboring centers or communities or villages. However, when young people like yourself and myself decided to organize and do something, this was what we came up with after a few weeks. We succeeded in revamping the entire primary healthcare center, equipping it with modern equipment and medications. And in just 24 hours, there was a flock of women coming to access antenatal services. Nurses and doctors came back immediately. And by the time we traveled down to Ogbomosho to commission this facility, I saw things that I would never get enough gratitude from if we were just about a salary job. I saw old women in their 80s and 90s frustrating to say thank you, my son, for what you have done in this community. I saw women who would never have had access to quality health care having access to some of these services just because some of people decided to volunteer and take it upon themselves. I really do not think today is just about telling very good or inspiring stories, but I think it's about making a decision to take action. For us, we should all volunteer. And what happens when you do, knowingly or unknowingly, you're inspiring other people to join you. Again, you remember I mentioned 109 million people volunteered last year globally. Only 12.1 million came from Africa. If all of us decide this morning to take this action and inspire at least 20 people every month, I sure do say we can transform our society and solve this problem. The opportunities are endless. Volunteering has opened doors for me that probably my talent or intellect would never have done. At the time we had completed a project in Borno, I wrote an article about it because I was really almost depressed about what I saw in Borno. And the next day I got a message on Twitter from a government official who is a special assistant to the president saying, I like what you did and I saw the pictures. I would like to have a conversation with you. Would you like to come over to the villa? The conversation we had is probably not the essence of this talk this morning. But the idea really is that once you solve social problems, you put yourself in the spotlight. We should all volunteer. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.